Yeah.
So if I would ask you today, right now, what is your connection to Qi, and keep in our mind that I can ask you also, what was your connection to Qi,
Uh-huh.
let's say 10 years ago or something.
Okay, yeah.
So maybe now, what is your connection to Qi in the treatment room and maybe in your life in general? And then if you want to share and you feel like sharing, then what is your
Yeah.
connection to Qi in your practice?
Okay, yeah, that's huge topics
I know
and
you can
very
pick.
interesting to talk about.
You can pick.
So the connection to Qi here we're in my clinic space now. So the connection to Qi here is, I mean, that's what I work with. I'm an acupuncturist, so that's that's what it comes down to. Like practically, that's what I work with. That's what I uh, listen to in the pulse, and that's what I treat using needles. Um,
And this is
so
what we talked about in the previous part when you mentioned, but we mentioned that some practitioners doesn't even believe in Qi, and there's so many approaches out there.
yeah,
So
yeah,
how did
that's
your connection to Qi developed? How was it?
well, pretty much with Neigong. Like I would without Neigong, I wouldn't, and Qigong, I wouldn't have much
What did you think before
experience there.
knowing about Qi? What was your interpretation of when you heard, ah, yeah, talking about Qi, talking about channels, if you can remember?
I mean, I think I believed in it, but I probably didn't quite understand it and couldn't really touch it, you know. But with more experience and with Qigong and Neigong and also working a lot with needles, uh, it has developed into a very tangible, living thing that is maybe not easy to understand, but like we can understand it and we can really know what it is, both intellectually and we can uh, tangibly work with it.
Hmm. So you almost refer to it as a substance.
Yeah, and that's how we refer to it as one of the substances, like blood is one substance,
Yeah.
and chi is another substance. It's just less, it's just more subtle. Uh, it's not really physical. I
But
mean,
just for
we can say
everyone,
that everything is chi, but the chi that we work with is not physical. It is more subtle than blood, for instance, which is you can play
and,
with, but
and
you
it,
wouldn't want to play with blood, but yeah,
yeah,
you can hold it.
yeah, but actually you do, because as far as I understood, the blood and chi is so much connected.
Hmm. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So if someone listens to this, they should maybe imagine when you refer to chi as a substance, it's almost like the blood in the blood veins, but somewhere else and in a different subtlety.
Yeah, I think that's a good way to look at it. I mean, chi, there are different forms of chi that moves and yeah, they are different. Like you have the yang chi, which is more electrical and goes in straight lines and very yeah, like one aspect of that is our nervous system, and that's one aspect of the yang chi. And then the yin chi, which is more uh, exists in more like fields. Uh, uh,
And in your work, you actually detect these, like you are able to detect that maybe that chi field is probably too weak or not non-existent, or it's just a little bit off, or
yeah, sure.
how does it happen?
That's
They don't communicate, or how does it happen? How?
yeah. So that's basically the diagnosis process.
Mhm.
I mean, you could really boil it down to yin chi and yang chi, or yin and yang in the body.
Mhm.
Um, mm, but yang chi or chi is very versatile, and there's you can talk about qi in very many different ways. It could be understood as function as well as a substance.
So you mean
So if I listen to the pulse and I feel that, okay, so the lung qi is weak, the pulse will indicate that. So then the functions of the lungs are weak. And there can be a general qi deficiency all over. And that would maybe indicate a deeper deficiency of the qi.
Yeah, maybe it looks like we are not too complicated on a basic principle level. That either
no, it's actually
deficiency or hot or cold.
Yeah, exactly. Those 8 basic principles that we learn, which should be really fundamental guiding principles in all treatments and diagnosis. The 8 principles of hot, cold, and internal, external, and deficiency, excess, and yin and yang, which I'm sure you've
we are just getting
spent a lot of time learning about.
We just started to study this.
Okay.
And when you do this, let's say you find these patterns, you find these deficiencies or excesses or whatever, and you help your patient. What is that you observe in a broader level, like a broader picture with the patient?
Symptom-wise, or?
Yeah, or just with the patient, like mentally or physically, or so what I would like to arrive at is like, what is healing to you? Obviously this is help, like when you diagnose and you find the dysfunctions and that, so that's also a level. So I assume, because I know you obviously, that it works on many levels, and how, like, you touch upon and you make sure that the physical is good, and then maybe the chi level is getting there. But what you consider healing actually? Maybe on chi level,
that's a good question.
Yeah.
This also can be talked on many levels. I think, like,
and we can turn back to chi. Is anything else it pops up, because we are much more experienced in this, and I
like
would be really
defining health, you mean, or healing? So I would define health and healing in a few different ways. I could say that health is just a direction. Like, you could see a person maybe having symptoms, but they are on a path, on a direction in life, making choices that are good for the system, good for the body, and for themselves. I would consider that a healthy person.
That's a nice input. Yeah.
See? But maybe they have several symptoms because previously they have made shit choices, or been under certain circumstances that has caused problems. So I could say that that's health, being on a good trajectory in life. And I mean, but speaking, like, no one is really healthy, like, whole, or whatever the end goal is, because we're all imbalanced. Otherwise we would be enlightened, I guess, or just evaporate.
Yeah, I see what you mean.
Because we need I don't know if we need it, but we all exist in at least some imbalance. But
sometimes
that's okay. But that's okay to be slightly imbalanced, but slightly imbalanced doesn't cause sickness and doesn't cause problems. It's when we're in that imbalance for a long time, in a specific imbalance for a long time, that will cause problem. Or if it's a big imbalance for a short time, that will also cause problems. But I don't know if that's clear.
Because it's my fault because I dropped the bomb. Like, this is a really difficult question, and now as you said it, many times I'm thinking that, okay, you help with the symptoms, okay, you help with the discomfort and everything. And also in the Yellow Emperor's classics, it's discussed what is the good doctor is, like, you know, the 4 levels of the doctor.
Yeah.
I was thinking that, yeah, obviously we need to know our competence level, and my competence level maybe is just to help, but not heal. So yeah, I can help with this and that, but then maybe,
Okay, I see what you're getting at.
yeah. If and maybe you have done this for several years. Yeah, I helped, but then there must be something above it. So what is the governing streamline here? And then, as you also mentioned, I think, or halfly, this is destiny, Ming, your destiny, or it's
Life path.
life path. Yeah. So, and also, as you mentioned, the choices, that was brilliant, because we just had a different podcast before with my
Okay.
colleague, and we talked about the Japanese shiatsu master who founded the Yin Shiatsu, which is not that yin, I guess, but not yin and yang yin, but something else. And he really emphasizes this when he wants to treat someone. It's really a lot of work about the choices.
Mm.
And then, as you mentioned, this, I think it was brilliant, because it just enwrapped the whole situation. Then what is the point when you step up and says, I must be able to, and maybe this is where cultivation comes in. I must be able to comprehend this person and understand this person deeper. So I would know, is it good that if I take this away, or it's not me actually taking it away, but using my knowledge is my limit, if you see what I mean.
Mm. Well, I just listen to the patterns. As a Chinese medicine practitioner, I just listen to the patterns and treat the patterns.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah,
and
not overthinking it.
well, I do think about it, and I do take in the whole person
Mhm.
as good as I can, right? But but in the end, I treat the patterns.
Yeah.
So if someone has, say, a problem with their digestive system, low energy, maybe swellings here and there, edema or whatever, loose stools, bloating, typical spleen chi pattern stuff. I will treat the spleen chi pattern,
Mhm.
uh, and hopefully, and usually, um, their symptoms cease or go away. And but since I'm treating chi, which is in between the consciousness and the physical, so the chi treats like the bridge in between,
Yeah.
the medium in between. So it will access the swelling and it will access the loose bowels, but it will also access the mental,
I see.
emotional reflections of that pattern. So hopefully the patient will naturally or automatically think differently or choose differently
Mhm.
to some degree, hopefully, after the treatments. But then also, of course, we need to talk about, so, okay, there is issues with digestive system. Maybe eating cold salads every day isn't helping.
I see.
Maybe
Yeah.
warm foods will be better for your health. I mean, changing diet is easy, right? It's no big deal. Well, it shouldn't be, because it's just
Usually the biggest deal.
yeah. We can have lots of hang-ups with diet, but I mean, it's a quite easy choice. If it's comes down to our health, it's quite easy to change, at least. Like eat this instead of that.
Yeah. So
Uh,
yeah, since we talk about this, maybe I should mention that I understood this from my Tuina teacher from Hungary, and he has a little booklet of actual receipts for food stuff, meals, and also the energetics about vegetables and fruits and whatever, and the thermoenergetics, and also the flavors and everything's sorted out. So it's just giving out this handlet of just little booklet as a
All right.
help for the patient. So they would have
That's a good idea. Yeah.
Understanding of this kind of soup does this, that kind of soup does this. So it's a little pre-work for them. But many people, I don't know how about you, but many students sometimes ask that, okay, we know in Western world this kind of diet and this kind of diet, which always has some names and some specialties, but how does the Chinese fit with diet? And then the short answer is probably they sorted out food energetically and thermal properties and flavors.
Yeah. Well, they were really nerdy about everything.
Combinations of these for your diagnosis. Like, for example, you give them a diagnosis, and then you are able to tell, maybe we work on this, please stay away from that kind of food or that kind of stuff.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, diet is big and it is important because we can really go wrong there. I don't think it's that difficult. If we can just diversify and not limit ourselves to just a few foods or tastes, we can go a long way. And just eat warm food. I mean, it doesn't have to be very complicated to get a normal level of health. If we just diversify our diet, eat regularly, don't eat too late, don't eat cold food. I mean, a salad to the food is, of course, okay, but not eating a whole meal that is cold
I see.
often, and things like just getting the basics. Like before anything else, we just need to get the basics done to have like a normal diet, which is diversified eating. I mean, yeah, if your ethics allow it, eating meat, eating vegetables, different kinds of vegetables, eating on a regular times, not eating too late, not eating stressed, sitting down, eating, like all these simple things. If we get that in place, then we can see what's left. Like what can we tweak? And if there's a lot of phlegm in the system, maybe don't eat peanut butter every day. Don't eat tons of bananas. Yeah, so there are a lot of specific food items that we can ask about or investigate.
I feel like we could do just one podcast alone on food.
Yeah.
Because as you talk, I have so much ideas of what to mention. But maybe just to stay simple, and maybe it's an interesting story. I never told you, I think, that there is a Hungarian writer who is really deep into stuff. And once he wrote about his master, and he said the master, after many decades of searching, realized that not big steps, what is the real thing, but small steps. For example, bringing maybe the heavenly things down into the matter. As you mentioned, like how do you sit down with your food? And I'm totally guilty here, but who really can do it well would really sit down, probably give a blessing, quiet down. So this writer, this person says he usually, when he understood the principle of this, he just sat down and actually waited before the food, not doing anything, just waited for the nervous system to calm down, and then take the food, obviously with maybe some prayer and maybe the practice. But also meanwhile eating, as you mentioned, just staying calm, listen to maybe the environment, listen to the food they eat.
Yeah.
So maybe
absolutely.
Maybe people today wouldn't think that this is so important and so major, but it is. And I just now seems to be sensitive enough to feel this. Because I have some really bad habits, and when I lose them, I see the difference. also how my internals work and everything.
Okay, yeah.
So it's with Neigong is probably naturally comes.
Yeah, Neigong makes you really sensitive to what works and doesn't work, I
I would
think.
say honest. I wouldn't say sensitive. I'm still like a break a little bit, but um, something is just clicks in that, yeah, I shouldn't keep doing this habit. It's not,
Mm-hmm.
maybe I feel it in my body, or
Mm-hmm.
maybe my mind is sluggish from it, or as you mentioned, sleeping is so important. Like
Mm-hmm.
just simple thing, when do you go to sleep?
Yeah.
Maybe 30 minutes could be a big difference.
Yeah. Yeah. So speaking about what is health, like the first first thing to look at is really food, like eating. We can say eating instead of food, because eating, like how we eat, is important, right? Like you just said, eating, sleeping, exercising, and I guess thinking, feeling. If we can get those pretty much in a somewhat
That's magic.
good state, then health can, like that's the basic of health. So
But it's
yeah,
basic because, and it's important because probably in the modern life, this is where we lack, no?
yeah,
Where we are weak.
going to bed very late or yeah, eating bad.
Bombarded with informations, I heard, can really mess up your digestive system functions, because
Yeah,
if you have at both ends, like physical and also mental things to digest, and your stomach and spleen is like overloaded, and
sure.
it's just so
Yeah,
interesting that people doesn't know it. How could they? So hopefully.
yeah, it's the same system digesting mental stuff that's digesting physical matter as well. So it's reflected
And how do you see
simultaneously.
your chi work in reflection of this? What I mean is, maybe sometimes life cannot be ideal, but you still can have some portions of time for your, I don't know, let's say Qigong or Daoyin practice. Does it help you to still keep on track? But obviously, we understand that that's the basics, like food, sleep, rest, activities. But do you feel that Qi is also, in a way, in this context, is a medicine? So sometimes that's my feeling.
Mm-hmm. I mean, absolutely. I mean, the tradition we're studying Neigong in is not a medical system, but health is a foundation for higher training, right? So, yeah, I think the Neigong training really improves health, both directly physically because we build more qi, which helps the organ systems and everything, but also it makes it easier, I think, to make good choices.
Mhm.
Like, because when I feel strong, when I have good amount of chi, my mind is much more clear, and I can much more easily just uh, leave bad habits or make good choices.
Yeah, and pick the right direction for your
Yeah, and it
life path.
comes, and it's not something that comes with effort. It's just natural when the chi is strong and when the chi is pretty much or in a more balanced state.
Mhm.
So that's
Well,
really,
it's one thing like stronger, so you like the quantity of it you can improve, and also maybe the other thing you mean is like regulation. So if you regulate your chi, then
yeah,
let's say as your room is tidy and nice, maybe your chi fields should be tidy and nice also. I don't know.
yeah. I
How would you
guess
imagine?
if your inside is a mess, it's more likely that the outside is a mess as well, I think, if
In
that's what
order
you
to
mean.
keep the direction, if it's the compass is like turning around all the time.
Hmm. Yeah, it is. But um, also, to bring back to the question of health, one thing I thought about was, and also I talk to my patients a lot with about this to understand the process, is the momentum part.
Hmm.
because yeah, like we talked about, or I thought we talked about health being like could be defined as a trajectory of good choices. And even though we make good choices now, or we get treatments, so say I correct someone's, let's take the spleen chi again. So if I strengthen the spleen chi during a treatment, the patient will have a momentum behind, right? So all their previous choices will have a kind of a force behind it.
Yeah.
So I want, like, say this is the healthy path, but the trajectory or the momentum that they come with is maybe this way.
Mm-hmm.
So the treatment take it a little bit like this,
I see.
a little bit like this,
I see.
but the momentum will pull it a little bit back.
Mm-hmm.
And the next time we'll take a little bit closer, pull it, so it's like 2 steps forward, 1 step back.
Yeah. Oh,
That's
wow.
usually,
Yeah, this is, yeah, what you mentioned now is amazing. If we could highlight it, or we could emphasize this and maybe somehow communicate, so people would understand, okay, now they would understand the process of treatment. So not just okay, and now we just arrive back to the expectations and the results.
yeah.
Like, oh yeah, good, brilliant.
And it's important to understand, I think, the process like this, that there is a momentum, even though like there can be a momentum of chi. Maybe you're doing all the right choices, but there is a momentum of the chi, or there is a momentum of the organs. They're in a specific state due to history,
I see.
which will to some degree counteract treatment, or to some degree counteract your the choices that we are doing at the moment.
Decision process, actually. Yeah.
So that's the process of healing, or of getting healthy, is actually doing the right thing, and then let time happen.
To adjust.
So we need to give it time.
I see.
So time is a very important factor, and also with the medicine. I mean, sometimes the effects are really instant. Just you put the needle and it's just boom, and it's shift.
I know.
But sometimes it takes weeks. Sometimes it takes months to shift and to have the
and probably it's a good
have the trajectory like click.
Yeah, because some people are still really close to the healthy path, but maybe some is really off, and because of what you just mentioned, then the mind material is like stacked up, and it's hard to work with them. Wow, thank you very much to put this so clear.
So
yeah,
and then it's always so with the needles I can correct the chi, and if the patients or the people also make choices. So okay, let's talk about the digestive system. So because it's easy to talk about, which would be expressed in the spleen chi quite fast. So if the chi is corrected or strengthened at least, and the person who is receiving the treatment is making choices that are good for that system, of course it will faster, the whole system will faster find a good trajectory.
Yeah.
It will help them, the momentum, the let's say the negative momentum from the past, it will help that momentum to release faster if during the treatments the patient is also doing new choices, leaving habits that are unhealthy. So in that way, the patient and the therapist can work together to to move forward in a quick and good way.
Can I have an evil question?
Of course.
Just to provoke this further. What happens when you aligned?
When you align?
When you aligned, what happens to those people? How after that?
When you align, what do you mean?
The trajectory that you talked about, actually getting in line with the healthy pathway for that person. Then what?
Well, first, I guess their symptoms will go away.
Yeah, surely. But after that, what?
After that, I don't know. They'll just be happy people.
Yeah.
I guess there will be more, the quality of life will have improved.
Yeah, it's just the woody person talking from me, you know, who is maybe looking for motivations and looking for further processes or further progresses.
I guess it depends on the person, right? Some people are really happy, well, when the bloated stomach is gone, and
Yeah.
that's it.
Yeah.
That's enough for some, and that's fine. I mean, I don't judge in any way there. People
not me either. It's just obvious.
people are different.
Some people is satisfied with that, but obviously in the Yellow Emperor's book, I mentioned the 4 doctor stuff and why the teachings are there. Obviously, some of the doctors doesn't even. I mean, they work on that level, but they also work on a different level when maybe they align you with different aspects of your being as well.
Oh yeah, well, that's above my pay grade, I think.
I know mine
really...
also, but maybe it's a good way to put everything in perspective, because we now talked about like one layer of treatments, but maybe it's helpful for people to understand.
Yeah, well, the potential for this medicine is enormous. Like if you're really a skilled practitioner and a cultivator, you could basically just shift their nature and just really heal on a very, very deep level. I'm wondering if you actually need needles at that point, but maybe you do.
No,
so
not me.
No, I mean the practitioner. If the acupuncturist would actually need to use needles if they're on that skill level. But
obviously, sometimes I think that maybe the ultimate feeling is when, since you and I, we believe in the same pathway, that you cultivate yourself, hence many processes unfold, and then you leave many processes behind, so you change, you constantly go on a certain path in a certain direction or something. So maybe your presence could be enough at a point, or if you like collect the good qualities around yourself, when you mean like no needles needed, and maybe no chi emissions needed, or no nothing, because you are the example of something. Maybe yeah, since we talk about this, maybe my dream is maybe sometimes just radiate silence, radiate peace, and radiate something that you already managed to somehow tap on and share this. Could that be healing, you think?
Healing in what way?
I don't know.
For me as a practitioner?
For
the patient?
Yeah, for anyone, because probably it seems like roads are meeting together at some point, and maybe you are left behind the bloating. And then those kind of things, maybe you are much more free to realize different aspects of the being, and then you realize maybe silence is a pretty big help for you. I don't know, I just use silence for an easy example, but it could be many things.
Well, I guess the only healthy person is an enlightened person. Like if you really want to go there, that's the only healthy person.
Yeah, but there's very few in our hospitals, so
yeah, we don't need to treat
I can't
them.
visit them.
But no, I mean I think maybe the health is expressed in good choices in life. Like that's one way
Yeah, obviously good
to look at
choices
it.
lead to also spirituality, doesn't it?
Maybe not for everyone. Maybe it's for you and me because we are
In
kind of
in our in our
inclined towards
system,
that.
it
But
probably is.
maybe for someone else, it results in change of job. That's
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Actually, we have those kind of examples.
uh,
And also leaving the country or moving somewhere else and completely changing life. Like my
mm,
teacher shared with me, hopefully she's okay if I share. When we were studying joint manipulation and correction of the joints and studying about the spine, she shared that once she managed to put the spine in line, which took its time, but like
mhm.
vertebrae would align nicely. And the first time she was like just checking through the spine, the first time it's aligned. Probably the second and third day, the lady just left the partner and moved the country.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it created
that
some
made me
big
think.
changes.
Yeah, that made me think. That's
Mm.
like how is that our condition attracts certain type of people and repel other type of persons, and just the whole dynamic is maybe dependent on our conditions.
Yeah, maybe. And people's ideas of what we are doing, I guess also.
You mean
Yeah,
what we are doing as a therapist, or
yeah, because there are a lot of ideas, preconceptions, and yeah, ideas about what shiatsu is or what Chinese medicine is.
you mean expectations
Yeah, or the expectations again.
arrived? And then what kind of expectations do you meet?
Well, some people some people don't expect much and receive a lot, and some people expect instant um, health, but forget about the process.
Mhm.
They're all everything in between as well. So, but mostly, I would say people are mostly surprised by the efficiency, and also surprised that they come in for a bad knee, but come out with a good knee and a good digestive system, or
Yeah,
better sleep or whatever.
or leaving the country.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh,
So I think that's the most common. Uh, like, so, yeah, and I mean, I also get surprised sometimes. Like, oh, I came in for this, but now I don't need my glasses anymore. It's like, oh, well, good.
wow, that's great.
So,
You had that before. You had
yeah,
that.
it happened. Yeah, then
Wow. Let's go to Björn, guys.
let's do it.
Yeah, no, but I can also imagine actually some of them could be frightened of the effectiveness. Maybe some of because the gap is too big to comprehend or digest.
Hmm.
Then I came in with a bad knee and suddenly my digestion is good. Ooh, this is too much.
Maybe I wouldn't know because they would probably not come back if they would be frightened. So
Okay. So they're coming back to you.
yeah, they come back.
That's nice.
Uh, and I'm curious about shiatsu, like because now you're studying. You have obviously studied shiatsu, and now you're studying Chinese medicine.
Yeah.
What are the similarities or differences that you have noticed so far, like in how you approach diagnosis and treatment and channels, and like, how is, now I'm giving you all the questions in one go here.
Yeah, I try to
Like,
remember them like story.
yeah. Is Qi, how do you work with Qi? Is that a thing in
I
Shiatsu?
inject this with an ion cannon.
Yeah.
No,
I'm really I don't know much about Shiatsu, basically.
my take on this is I started with Shiatsu, and I think this is a pretty good way. I think I had a lot of advantage like on the course now because of it.
Mm-hmm.
Also because of the experience of trying to give Shiatsu to people and also trying to bring my head around the whole thing. Because Shiatsu is said commonly in the West to be based on Chinese medicine.
Okay.
It's like a reference. You are told in a very first day, this is a modality that is based on Chinese medicine. Although they could add, and sometimes they do, like my teacher did, that Japanese medicine is a slightly different version of Chinese medicine. And also I heard from, I think probably from Damo too, that there exists a really high level Chinese medicine. And now, just recently now, I've seen a lot of interesting techniques that the Japanese developed. For example, the moxa in the bamboo roll, if you have seen that, like a small bamboo tube, and you
Uh-huh.
put moxa in it, and they work on the channels
Okay.
with the
So
rolls.
it heats the bamboo.
Yeah, but it's such a, can you feel that nice subtlety, which I think
Yeah,
the
yeah.
Japanese bring in, but they also really sharp and sometimes really strong.
Mm-hmm.
These ideas, I just love that. Also, when they do moxa, I've just seen with one of my other friends that they put a tiny bit of moxa hill on the
Yeah.
point and they just match it
Mm-hmm.
few seconds and then it's okay.
Okay, yeah.
How is it compared to sometimes the Chinese hospital manner when they put these moxa towers,
Yeah.
on the person and just 3 hours of moxa inside the body,
Mm.
and then this bamboo roll just rolling. I just feel like I would like to try. How does it feel when they roll
Mm.
it? And certain techniques they have. It's not just you roll simply. You have certain techniques. And I think that's the situation with Shiatsu. And actually, there's a big debate of this style and that style, which spread out in the West is the Zen Shiatsu mainly. So it was the Namikoshi way, as I heard. I don't understand too much, but originating in Japan, it started like the Namikoshi first, and then Masunaga was the main character of creating Zen Shiatsu.
Mm-hmm.
Like as far as I remember, somewhere around the war, they started to ban, or before the war, it was banned actually, and a different name was used. And Anma was used before for many years, decades or centuries, and blind people could do only Anma.
Okay.
So again, maybe you can feel the essence of it.
Mm-hmm.
Like where does it come from? And they say this is actually coming from Tuina.
Mm-hmm.
China, Tuina goes to Japan,
Yeah.
but who knows? But then it developed into the Anma thing.
So
And
you're
yes,
treating the channels then with Shiatsu, like Tuena,
yes, in a very
like the
basic
physical
level.
aspect of them, the
No,
Jing
but
Jing.
no, actually, that's why I did this so many warm up for this because the Namikoshi way set to be much more physical. Meanwhile, the Zen Shiatsu way tend to be more energetic, but not energetic as I understood from Neigong. It's much more freedom how you interpret this because Masunaga was a psychologist, a clinical psychologist. So he
I
was the
thought you said Scientologist.
no, psychologist. So he brought together actually the psychological part of you with the Chinese medicine part of. So he re revived it. I think he he just put life into this system, and then maybe from here other branches grew out, which emphasizes this aspect or that aspect. But who understands Shiatsu in Europe says Masunaga's Zen Shiatsu is not complete because he died early.
Mm-hmm.
And actually, there is no one really comprehending the whole system because
Okay.
that guy seemed to be a magician. And maybe I will forward you some videos because some of his treatments are recorded. Maybe,
Oh, cool. Yeah, I would like to see that. Yeah,
yeah,
absolutely.
maybe you could have some idea. Obviously, he was my hero. That's how
Yeah.
I studied everything. I read his book, understood I need to understand Chinese medicine, and understood I need to do Qigong to understand Chinese medicine. So I just had some problematics in my head, and then that's how I found Damo's article about some
Mm-hmm.
problematics as Kan and Lee, fire and water Qi. And actually, that hooked me in.
Oh, that's talked about in Shiatsu, Kan and Lee.
No, no, I
Okay.
was just having my Qigong studies on my own.
Oh, okay, okay.
And some of the
Mm.
books I had at my hand in Hungary was not sufficient or efficient enough. And I was looking for some clues because those books were complete mess,
Mm.
nonsense, like piles together phrases without understanding, I think, the process. So I looked for some clue and then found Damo's articles, which clarified a lot of things. And then
So did the Shiatsu theory talk about like the yin and yang? It talks about the five phases. It talks about.
yes, they mention in a certain degree also talk about, but you learn a lot of body techniques and also you study the channels pathways. So that
Mm-hmm.
eat up maybe 2 semesters. Because again, in the West, when they teach Shiatsu, they also teach the Masunaga meridians, which means that actually we have extra meridians which Masunaga discovered. So besides the classical ones, like
Okay.
we would have, I believe the liver here,
Okay.
liver Masunaga, and we would have like the spleen Masunaga.
Mm-hmm.
We would have the kidney Masunaga just between the small intestine and heart.
Uh-huh.
I think that's pretty cool and actually ending here. And obviously on the young side also, and the same thing on the leg.
Okay.
It's pretty handy.
Mm.
Some says Masunaga meridians are closer to the emotional issues. It's much more
Okay.
subtle, so you have a different approach. But to me, it seems a really complete system. I really liked it.
Mm.
I tried, I experimented with this. If the person visited me was more about having those issues, but more on a psychological level or the emotional level, then I tried the Masunaga channels, and also my
So
approach was much more subtle.
so people come with pretty much anything,
I think, yeah.
yeah,
Mhm.
to Shiatsu.
My teacher says, Shiatsu teacher, that she believes that anything can be done with hand that could be done with needles.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't agree, but I appreciate the saying and I understand where she comes from because she's really, really, really good,
Yeah.
really experienced, and also has her own understanding of many, many things
Mm.
on an experimental way, which I really respect much because that seems to me like worked out.
Yeah.
I
And
don't know if I
and
answered any of your question. I just rambled.
maybe yeah. I guess I know much more about Shiatsu now than I did before. But I need to get a treatment, I think, to feel it in my body.
And luckily, you have actually a lot of Shiatsu practitioners in Lotus Nei Gong.
Okay, but not many of those are in Sweden.
Who knows? We will find out.
And I
We
will
will convince
ask
them
around
to
this
give
summer.
you.
We'll ask around this summer.
Or maybe we can exchange something in the rest day.
Yeah, absolutely. Could do that. And yeah, the Neigong, so important for for therapy, for the therapist.
You feel like?
Yeah, absolutely. It's just
Do you feel drained after treatment?
I mean, if I give several treatments on top of each other, mentally I will be a bit tired, but that's it.
But not energetically.
No.
Oh,
There are needle methods that engage my system a lot more.
you don't
But
use it too much.
I tend not to use them. No,
Mhm.
I don't.
Why is that? Is that not necessary all the time? So the efficiency doesn't depend on it, or it's just a different.
Well, like for instance, there is a way to pluck the pathogens out from the patient's body and absorb them into my body. And the thinking is that my system should be strong enough to deal with what the patients
Yeah.
can't deal with. And while that might be true, um, I need my energy for other things at the moment.
Oh yeah. So sometimes we choose not to do this much more effective, stronger way, but do something gentle instead, and
Oh, I still do
encourage.
very strong treatments, I would say. Well,
I mean, just not this plucking technique.
no, that specific technique I don't use actually, because it's quite rough. Also for the patients, it's quite rough because it really digs out deep stuff. Yeah, but no. So basically,
Did you do that
only in training.
ever? John,
Only in training.
not in live.
No,
Oh wow. Okay. Yeah. Also, stop me. You don't have to answer when this is like over the privacy and anything that you can share.
sure.
I just heard something that's super interesting. I tell you why.
Uh-huh.
Because it's 9 years or so, maybe 10 years that I also watch the Shiatsu Society and everything. And as you said, like plucking the chi, plucking the
The
pathogen.
pathogens.
I understand that you said you don't have experience with Shiatsu, so you don't have to answer it like directly, but maybe just think about, because as they all the time touch, like maybe 1 hour a treatment is, it's all like all the
Mm.
time touch, and a really close connection is built up.
Mm.
What I see and also what I've been taught.
Mm.
Don't you think that actually a lot of plucking could happen? A lot of
Uh,
sucking pathogens up. I mean, unconsciously also, not like
well, yes,
directly.
there is always an exchange.
Yeah, we know that, but with this, that you are keeping being in touch with the
Yeah,
pathogen.
and there's always an exchange, and especially like there is there's always an energetic connection, especially if you're really working with it with chi, or you're really in tune with the body.
Yeah, you listen to.
You will extend into
Yeah,
each other actually
yeah,
to some degree, but working with needles, um, it's you have a sort kind of a barrier between
yeah.
patient and therapist. I mean, I my chi normally like will normally not extend more further than the needle.
I see.
I will connect with the needle energetically. I will sort of fill the needle because
Mhm.
filling the needle will help me to so when
I understand inserting.
yeah, I will more easily find the point and
Yeah,
insert it properly into the patient's chi because
yeah,
it's not automatically that you actually hit the chi.
I
And I
know.
think many acupuncturists don't know how to
Hit the chi.
hit the chi and know that they have hit the chi.
Yeah.
It's not.
Some people are surprised when they come here, and maybe they are Shiatsu practitioners or they are other practitioners. And they are like surprised that once I manage to connect
Mhm.
such a different effect, then it's
Yeah,
just insert the needle and what they are used to in other clinics or somewhere.
yeah, and that's where the cultivation of the therapist comes in because it develops my sensitivity and also my chi to a level where I can work with it.
Mhm.
And And then on top of that, it's the pulse, really. The needle techniques and the pulse, because the pulse will tell me if I have inserted it into the channel. So I'm always listening on the pulse at the same time that I'm inserting the needle.
Oh, wow.
And the pulse will tell me, oh, there went, now it's in the channel. And when I manipulate the needle, the pulse will react. Yeah.
Immediately, yeah. So back to the question, you said the needle is the barrier. In the contrary, when you touch, there's no barrier. And also you maybe get...
I don't know how that works. So probably there's less barriers because you're in it.
That's what I mean. So
the barrier will probably be, I mean, there is a like kind of a new age thing of visualizing protection and all this.
Yeah, leave
I
that.
I don't think that works, but what works is having strong chi yourself. Like if my chi is strong, I will radiate more than I will absorb. And that's the key to staying healthy as a therapist, is to develop a strong chi.
Actually, with that what you just said, I will have a question, but I will put it out there off the record. It's a little, I will ask you that once we stop in.
Okay. What a cliffhanger.
Sorry?
Or a cliffhanger.
Maybe this is too early to put it out there.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah. I think it's still, maybe let's everyone just give it a thought, because maybe something that we just take simply and just say, I'll just work through the body into the channels, I listen into the channels, touching the channels. Maybe something more is happening that we anticipate. Who knows? And maybe this is where cultivation would come in play, like getting rid of the stuff that you don't need, cultivate your own chi, as you said, nourish the system, regulate the system. And then just a flashback to the question I asked you before, when I asked, do you think that chi could be medicine? Because I don't know about your experience, and you will share soon, hopefully. And when I do Qigong sometimes and I'm listening to Qi, I feel like that's, I don't know why, but my impression is that is a sort of medicine. Because, as you said, that's like a pivot between body and consciousness. And if you manage to absorb into the Qi that you practice with, it somehow switches off everything else. It switches off the body, switches off the consciousness, switches off the mind, and just be absorbed and listening to Qi. That was my question. Did you have that impression by practice, like practicing so much? I don't know how much you practice, like the standing Qigongs or sitting Qigongs, but even with the standing Qigong, like the 5-element Qigong, which is my favorite. I have many favorites, but this one is. Also, the Jiben Qigong is so simple, but still, if you manage to listen to Qi for 1 hour or so, the person comes out of it is so different than the person went in.
Yeah. Yeah, it really just regulates your whole being, doesn't it? Especially if you manage to, like you said, absorb and step away from the activities of the mind. It just equalizes or harmonizes everything. And that's strong medicine, I think.
Okay.
To go to that place, because from there, like you probably noticed, you will be calm and centered and make choices from that place. So it's a good way to.
I don't know how you do, but with the weekly classes, we many times do like the Wushin Qigong set in 1 hour. Like I don't know, 5-6 minutes of the exercises, a few wujis, in between. And then after, when I have a block of weekly class, usually this is the last one. And then we sit down so people can experience that thing that you just mentioned, that collectedness, that calmness, that contentment, which happened accidentally. You know, COVID brought up this Zoom stuff and everything and online stuff. Obviously, before that, I said, yeah, I would never teach in Zoom and everything like that. But then we realized actually it still works, and we have room for this kind of experiments and receive feedback for many different kind of people. So not just one room happens the same thing, but in many different rooms happens the same thing when you ask for feedback and listen. And look at the faces, like they're calm.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's, like I said, that's strong medicine. It's really great if people can contact that. And hopefully we can evolve to live out of that more regularly. Or like that's being our default state, I guess, is would be one of the goals.
Yeah, you put it so nicely when you said, actually, with that example of putting that angle closer and closer to the main path. So probably when you do Qigong on your own, you help this process to bring it closer to that path. Going off, because having this drama of usual life and then just sitting down and do the Qigong and bring it back. And if you repeat this for every day for 10 years, probably you end up there instead of here.
Yeah, and there being a very good path, you mean?
Yes, obviously. Yeah.
If you don't do it wrong and burn yourself out.
Yeah, otherwise maybe I would ended up like a drug addict or a junkie or I don't know, maybe an extreme sport guy or who knows.
I would guess more an extreme sport guy than a junkie, though.
Who knows? Yeah. Actually, I never tried drugs.
Okay, good for you.
The internal compass said maybe don't do that, and also the same reason I don't have a super bike or like a motorbike, you know, which can travel with high speed. Because I know if I would have, I would travel with high speed, and there's no limits maybe. So I think that's the reason why I never tried drugs, because probably I would be too much into it.
Well, it's good to know yourself.
Well, it's not that I know myself. I'm a complete idiot. Many times proved. Also, not really understanding myself, but it's something just, I don't know. Maybe something, maybe archangels, you know, saving me from this decision.
They're working hard, those angels.
Probably, yes. Yeah. They were like, yeah, sports, do triathlon. Yeah, kill yourself. But those things. Yeah, thanks very much.
Yeah, thank you.
Naturally, I feel like this is where we should stop. And obviously, a lot of topics we left on the notes. But why not next time?
Yeah, I'm always up for a talk.
And
there's so much to cover. There's so much topics to talk and unfold, and like it's
I feel like you do this in a really controlled way, and I really like this because you slow me down a lot.
Okay.
And my mind is like thinking about topics, but you in this way you're really able to bring out strong points, and I appreciate like saying it out loud and clearly. And I got feedbacks. Maybe shy people didn't comment on under the video, but they messaged me, and when we talked, they said really helpful. The previous.
Oh, good. And the previous talk we had, you mean?
Yep.
All right. Yeah.
Just for you to know.
Oh, good. Yeah, it's fun. It's nice. And hopefully some people will find some pieces that are helpful or interesting.
I have a feeling that it was much more solid in information wise. So
cool.
yeah, just let's say goodbye and
Yeah.
thank you very much, Björn.
Until next time.
Next time.